Good morning. My name is Deborah Gray Boyd, and my pronouns are she, they. I happily serve this congregation as treasurer and an ex officio member of your Board of Trustees, in addition to counting the number of plates for people who had breakfast. Did anybody have breakfast this morning? Holy smokes. Yay to the breakfast people. I'm a white, middle-aged woman with shoulder-length brown hair and a black dress and a gray sweater. As part of our services here at First UU, our speakers provide a brief description of ourselves to increase inclusivity and welcome for people with visual impairments and for anyone online who's listening instead of watching. Welcome. If this is your first time here, we have a first-time visitor gift at the greeter table, and one of our dedicated volunteers will be available in Beach Hall to share our Getting to Know UU information. You can use the QR code on the screen to access a digital version of our order of service, find the donation page, not that I have any particular attachment to that as your treasurer, and sign in to let us know that you're here. Whether you are a first-timer or whether you remember when the worship committee budget was $370 in 1945. We invite you to come and chat with us after the service to learn more about who we are and what we believe here at First UU. Please find me or another member of the board in Beach Hall after the service. I'd like to ask everyone to please take a moment to put your phone in worship mode, also known as silent. We have a few announcements this morning. Please stop by the Social Justice Engagement Fair after the service today to learn more about the many ways we participate in social justice here at First UU. See your order of insert for worship for all the details about these announcements in this week's events and more. We encourage you to take the insert home, and we ask that you leave the cover in the basket by the door so that we can use it next week. And last, but certainly not least, we have a special announcement today about our Fall Festival. Candy Rothert, our Fall Festival coordinator, is here to tell you more about all the fun to be had this weekend.
Hi, my name is Candy, and I'm an older woman of average height and build. I have curly purple hair, and I'm wearing glasses, and I'm also wearing a greenish dress with a kind of pink floral overcoat. Hey, have you heard? We are having a fall festival this Saturday, October 19th from 4 to 9 p.m. We will have so many fun activities for all ages. If you are hungry, you can check out the food trucks Ninja Bowl and Buckeye Crepes. And you can get a snow cone at Tropical Freeze. We will have a bake sale and beverages. For those of age, we will also have bingo and a bar. And you don't have to go home empty-handed. Our bookstore will be open, and we have an in-person silent auction with wonderful gift baskets to bid on. So make sure you come to the festival on Saturday. Please stop by the table in Beach Hall to review some of the preview some of the fabulous gift baskets and pre-purchase your wristbands for only $5 per person. But don't worry if you're watching online. You can purchase them the day of the festival as well. I hope to see you all next Saturday at 4 p.m. Thank you. Now I invite us all to rise in body or in spirit to sing our opening hymn, number 52 in the Gray Hymnal. Thank you.
In sweet fields of autumn, the gold grain is falling, the white clouds drift lonely, the wild swan is deep in the earth clod, the black seed is living when spring sounds her bugles for rousing the giving.
Good morning. I'm Amanda Hayes. My pronouns are she, her, and I serve as your justice minister. I am a white woman in my mid-30s with short, spiky hair and glasses. We begin this service by acknowledging that we gather on land stolen from the Wyandot, Miami, Seneca, Erie, Shawnee, Delaware, and Cayuga people, many of whom were forcibly removed from Ohio. We support the Native American Indian Center of Central Ohio in their Land Back NACO campaign, and we know that we have more to do as a community to be in solidarity and true relationship with this land and those indigenous to it.
Good morning. I'm the Reverend Dr. Teresa Cooley. I serve as your developmental minister. My pronouns are she, her. I'm a woman in her early 60s, white woman with silver hair and a gray dress and a very pretty purple stove. So let us enter into the spirit of worship. Last night ended the Jewish High Holy Day of Yom Kippur. Yom Kippur is a day for confession and renewal, a day to share atonement, a day to embrace forgiveness, a day to reflect on human fragility, and a chance to think about the future. So as we listen to the call of the shofar, let us contemplate what it would mean to accept our mistakes and our limitations, to offer atonement and forgiveness, and turn toward the future in love. Thank you, Steve. And now let all of us rise in body or in spirit while our children meet in the back to prepare to bring in the light. Please turn to your neighbors to introduce yourselves. It is good to be together this morning. It is now time for our children to bring in the light.
Our chalice lighting words are by Scott Taylor. May this flame cast its light toward the coming days, reminding us that the future is not simply a place we are going, but a place we are creating. The path of new possibilities will not be found, but made. A new world is waiting to be built. May our time together light the way.
Thank you, Calliope, for your help lighting our chalice this morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Amber Scott, your Director of Religious Exploration, and my pronouns are she, they. I'm a white femme millennial with chaotic long brown wavy hair, and I am wearing a blue t-shirt that proclaims all bodies are sacred. Today's story is called Invisible Things, written and illustrated by Andy J. Pizza and Sophie Miller, right here in Columbus, Ohio. I bet you've read books about all kinds of things. You probably feel like you've seen it all. But no, you haven't. It's a trick question. You can't possibly have seen it all because some things are invisible. Where do we even begin? Let's start with our senses. Touch, hear, taste, see, and smell. You may have met some invisible things hearing with your ears. A dog bark, woof, woof, a cock-a-doodle-doo, a whisper, or a song stuck in your head. Smells are invisible too. You don't even want to know what this invisible thing is. It stinks. We can taste invisible things with our tongues. A lollipop looks boring, but it tastes like magic. Broccoli looks cute, but it might not taste cute. Maybe you've felt invisible things with your sense of touch, like coziness or a chill. Our sense of touch is important. Hugging a friend or your pet can actually make you feel better inside and out. Close your eyes and take a deep breath. What invisible things do you notice right now? What can you hear, smell, taste, or feel? You may also feel some invisible things on the inside. These feelings can come one at a time or in a big, confusing jumble. We all welcome happy feelings, but sometimes we might feel other things. Big mood. If your mood was a color, what color would it be? Sometimes you can't decide if something makes you feel good or bad. These things are cool and kind of strange. For example, heebie-jeebies make you uneasy in dark places. They may seem like bad vibes, but they're actually pretty cute. If you felt scared, that's okay. Fear can be difficult but helpful. It reminds us to be careful. When fear stands in the way of things that could be good, that's when you also need guts. You know those days when you just feel sad? You might have the blues. Sometimes you can shake them off, but other times you just need to sit with them. How can a sad song make us feel happy? This is the work of melancholy. Sometimes a rainy day is just what we need, and lying around feels fine. Feelings help us understand ourselves and others. Noticing and sharing our feelings can help us feel better. Close your eyes, take a deep breath, and ask, what am I feeling today? Seeing all the invisible things all the time would probably be a little much. It's okay to focus on a few at a time. But now that you know they're here, you can always find them if you remember to look with more than your eyes. The end. If you could put on a pair of magical, invisible glasses and see all the feelings, ideas, and other invisible things that populate our world, what would they look like? Please remain seated with hands over your hearts as we sing Go Now in Peace, number 413 in your gray hymnal, to sing our beloved children back to their families and out to class.
Go now in peace, go now in peace. May the love around you everywhere, everywhere you may go.
In October, we are sharing half our offering plate with Abortion Forward Alliance, formerly Pro-Choice Ohio Foundation. Abortion Forward Alliance envisions a future in which the dignity of every person is honored and stigma-free abortion is accessible without financial or political barriers. And here with us this morning to share more is Jamie Miracle, Deputy Director of Abortion Forward Alliance. Jamie, thank you so much for joining us. Please welcome Jamie.
Thank you so much for such an amazing welcome this morning. My name is Jamie Miracle. I use she, her pronouns. I am a mid-40s white woman with short blonde and some gray hair with a purple t-shirt and gray pants. I am the Deputy Director of Abortion Forward and the Abortion Forward Alliance. You've known us for a long time as Pro-Choice Ohio and the Pro-Choice Ohio Foundation. We rebranded this year because last year, when I came here, we were just weeks away from an election day that would determine the future of abortion rights in Ohio. A month later, we celebrated the amazing victory when the Ohio Reproductive Freedom Amendment was passed overwhelmingly. And I still tear up about it pretty frequently. A year later, we started to see the ripple effects from the passage of the amendment. The 6-week ban remains blocked, ensuring Ohioans never have to face the horrors we faced when that ban was enforced. Judges have blocked restrictions on the use of telemedicine for medication abortion and blocked Ohio's 24-hour waiting period and biased counseling requirements. That decision alone is life-changing. Patients now can get abortions without having to go to the clinic twice, without being told state-mandated, stigmatizing, and biased information about the medical decision that they decided was the best for them and their family. Overnight, capacity at clinics across the state changed dramatically when they only had to schedule one patient visit instead of 2. But these victories are just the start of that ripple effect of the passage of the amendment last year. And these ripples don't just spread across Ohio. They also spread to the 10 other states who in just a few weeks will be voting on their own ballot initiatives this year. Just how far those ripples will go out depends on what happens next. Will another stone be dropped into the water, overcoming our progress forward? It's possible with what happens on Election Day this year. If we lose control of the federal government, if the Ohio Supreme Court stays controlled by anti-abortion justices, that other stone could overcome and undo the amazing work that we've been doing for so long. We've come so far from those 82 dark days in 2022. And with your help, we can continue to see the ripple effect improve access to abortion and bust abortion stigma. What can you do? Donate, of course, but you can also vote and make sure your friends and family know the importance of voting in our Ohio Supreme Court and all elections this year. You can volunteer. We have lots of opportunities coming up. I've got information about it in Fellowship Hall. You can also help us bust abortion stigma by just having conversations. Talk to your friends and family about abortion and how it's just basic medical care. And we should talk about it like hip replacements and knee surgery. And with everyone's help, we can watch these ripples continue to flow across the water and ensure everyone has access to the care they need. Thank you very much.
Thank you again for joining us today, Jamie, and thank you for your generous support of our congregation and of reproductive freedom.
We have a few joys and sorrows to share with you this morning. If I can find the page. Okay. Our pastoral care listener this morning, by the way, is Kathleen Fowler. Would you like to stand? If you have something on your heart that you would like to talk about this morning, you can find her in Beach Hall. Thank you, Kathleen. Kurt Green is celebrating his 95th birthday on October 18th. Happy birthday. Congratulations to Kenny Adams, who was accepted into the Washington, D.C. Academic Internship Program as a John Glenn Fellow for spring semester 2025. Can't wait to hear where he will be interning. And Kathleen Fowler's sister-in-law, Marianne Clark, died of complications recently from MS. Her funeral was held this past week in North Canton, Ohio. Our prayer this morning is written by the Native American poet Rosemary Watola Tromer. I'll be sharing two pieces this morning in this service in honor of Indigenous Peoples Day tomorrow. So I can't save the world. I can't save even myself. I can't wrap my arms around every frightened child. I can't foster peace among nations. Can't bring love to all who feel unlovable. So I practice opening my heart right here in this room and being gentle with my insufficiency. I practice walking down the street heart first. And if it is insufficient to share love, I will practice loving anyway. I want to converse about truth, about trust. I want to invite compassion into every interaction. One willing heart can't stop war. One willing heart can't feed all of the hungry, and sometimes daunted by a task too big, I tell myself, what's the use of trying? But today, the invitation is clear: to be ridiculously courageous in love, to open the heart like a lilac in May, knowing freeze is possible and opening anyway, to take love seriously, to give love wildly, to race up to the world as if I were a puppy, adoring and unjaded, stumbling on my own exuberance, to feel the shock of indifference, of anger, of cruelty, of fear, and stay open. To love as if it matters, as if the world depends upon it. Amen.
Thank you. Our reading this morning is by Amanda Gorman. All that is grave need not be a burden and anguish. Call it instead an anchor. Grief grounding us in its sea. Despair exits us the same way it enters, turning through the mouth. Even now, conviction works strange magic on our tongues. We are built up again by what we build, find, see, say, remember, know. What we carry means we survive. It is what survived us. We have survived us. Where once we were alone, now we are beside ourselves. Where once we were barbed and brutal as blades, now we can only imagine. Please stay seated to sing our meditative hymn, number 15. The words are on the screen and in the gray hymnal.
The lone wild bird and lofty flood is still with thee, nor leaves thy sight. And I am thine, I rest in thee, Great Spirit, come and rest in me. The ends of earth are in thy hand, the seas dark, deep, and far off land. And I am thine, I rest in thee, Great Spirit, come and rest in me.
So who has had a chance to vote yet? You sent it in, right? Excellent. See, I voted. I voted on Friday, and I posted on Facebook the words "very satisfying," along with a picture of myself with a rather serious face and my "I voted" sticker. And the minute I posted it, I realized it was the wrong thing to say. I wasn't just satisfied, I was joyful. The waiting in line for 30 minutes did not bother me one bit. I reveled in the full panoply of people all around me, people of all colors, all cultures, all ages, all sharing that same excitement that I had, all intent on making our voices heard. After the ups and downs of this election season, I was surprised that I could even feel that. Anxiety and tension seems to be the prevailing feeling. And yet, there was joy. Back in July, when I preached a question box sermon in which I took questions from many of you, the most prevalent question was something like, "What do I do with my feelings of despair?" I immediately started to think about the kind of programming that I could plan that would help support people in the midst of what felt like certain defeat, only to have our president do the most unselfish thing possible: step down in favor of Kamala Harris. And suddenly there was joy, relief, excitement, hope, all gathered within us to crowd out that despair. We heard Kamala and then Tim Walz talking about bringing joy back into the political process. So yes, let's make people joyous again rather than great again. And then, of course, reality has descended again with having to witness what feels like greed and hatred over and over. Certainly, certainty would be so nice right now, would that it were possible. One of my spiritual gurus, Richard Rohr, recently wrote, "In moments of insecurity and crisis, shoulds and oughts don't really help. They just increase the shame, the guilt, the pressure, and likelihood of backsliding into unhealthy patterns. It's the deep yeses that carry us through to the other side. It's those deeper values that we strongly support, such as equality and dignity for all, that allow us to wait it out. Or it's someone in whom we absolutely believe and to whom we commit. In plain language, love wins out over guilt any day." This is really a spiritual issue, not just a psychological or sociological one. It takes attending to our spirits, developing new ways of being in the world that help us to stay open rather than to shut down. Yesterday, I listened to one of my favorite podcasts, Igniting Imagination, which is produced by a progressive Methodist organization. They find people doing the most innovative and imaginative things possible. And so right now, listening to such people is really helpful to me. This particular episode was about cultivating joy, and it features two ministers, Tyler Sitt and Rich Havard. They're not your typical pastors. One leads an inner city church dedicated to serving people on the margins. The other works for a foundation that supports nonprofits that find innovative ways to bring more justice into the world. They are also gay, which shouldn't matter, but we know that being gay men in a world which still sometimes refuses to tolerate difference is a precarious thing. Despite their innate challenges and witnessing on a daily basis the wounds and dehumanization that marginalized people experience, they are two of the most joyful people you would ever want to watch. Tyler Sitt talked about how some people worry that if you're joyful in the midst of suffering, then somehow you aren't really caring about the sufferers. But he says, choosing to experience joy is the greatest act of rebellion against the worst in our society. By choosing joy, he doesn't mean you try to control your experience into perfection, but rather that you keep yourself open to awareness of great potential as well as great pain. That by acknowledging the full panoplies of emotions, as we heard in our Time for All Ages this morning, we also let joy bubble to the surface. Maria Popova wrote, "Nothing, not one thing, hurts us more or causes us to hurt others more than our certainties." The stories we tell about the world and the foregone conclusions with which we cork the fount of possibility are the supreme downfall of our consciousness. They are also the inevitable cost of survival, of navigating a vast and complex reality, most of which remains forever beyond our control and comprehension. And yet, in our effort to parse the world, we sever ourselves from the full range of its beauty, tensing against the tenderness of life. Holding ourselves open, even when anxiety wants to drive every part of our existence, allows us to see possibilities we might never have imagined. The other interesting thing about joy that they talked about is that joy is most often found in the experience of authenticity. That when we're feeling most at home with ourselves is where joy can be found. Rich Havard talked about his experience of coming out as gay, which he only felt empowered to do in his 20s because he was so afraid of being alienated from his family and from his religion. But he finally grasped the courage to attend a gay pride parade and post a picture of himself on Facebook in the grandest kind of coming out way, and he radiated joy. He quotes Richard Rohr as saying, "The discovery of your true self will feel like 1,000 pounds of weight to fall from your back." When we create the conditions for true belonging, then we create a place in which joy can be found. David Zoll is an Episcopal priest who's worked a great deal with vulnerable youth. He particularly explores the challenge that so many youth face today of feeling the despair of not living up to some social media idealized image of who they are supposed to be. He says this, "What would a healthy culture and caring parents do for these kids? They would be pulled aside and told, 'You are you. You will always be you. We live here on this planet in this culture as this species. You live in the times you live in, and you will never live anywhere else. There's no escape for any of us. The world gets better, and it gets worse. Your life gets easier, and it gets harder. Progress happens. Happiness is possible. But the world is an irredeemably broken place. Tragedy is the endowment of our bodies and our gods and the world, and you will always, still always be you. You can hide in your room, but you will still be you. The only sensible path forward is to learn to accept the brokenness of human life, to develop resilience in face of its petty cruelties, and to learn to live with yourself as you are." Advice that's probably helpful for any of us, not just youth. Authenticity gives us the opportunity to find joy. Pretense just leads us down the path of fear and anxiety. There's a sociological professor named Lucy Hone who has been dedicating her life to studying how does resilience happen, and she had a particularly profound experience in which her resilience was challenged. Her husband and her daughter were killed in a terrible car accident when her daughter was only 8 years old. And she lived in that devastation for a year. And then she started to remember what she had been learning about resilience, particularly in talking to people who had PTSD from their military experience. And so she says 3 things. First of all, we have to accept that suffering is a part of human existence. Always has been, always will be. In the past, we probably found various ways to escape that reality, but it always catches up with us. The question of why me is a pretty useless one. What do I need to face is a more important question. Another point she makes is that greater resilience can be found when we force ourselves to attend to focus on what can change, what opportunities may lie before us, rather than the things that we have no control over. This includes consciously trying to attend to the positive, rather than the ever-present negative. Our brains are actually hardwired to pay attention to danger, but we can overcome that instinct and consciously choose to see the beauty and the life-giving things that surround us all the time. And thirdly, We can be more conscious of the effects of our own decisions. Am I choosing something that is life-giving and healthy for me? Or am I using the excuse of despair to indulge in self-destructive behaviors that are all too tempting when we feel ourselves out of control? This is important for us to remember, not just as individuals, but also as a religious community, to accept that there will always and inevitably be disappointments along the way, to attend to that which we can participate in changing, not expecting others to do it for us, to consciously attend to that which is beautiful and good, to make conscious decisions toward health, and to create a space that allows for authenticity. We can support one another in finding joy by doing positive things together, like the work that many in this church have done to help get out the vote. Let's celebrate Chris Johnson for the incredible work that he has done. Thanks, Chris. Chris recently compiled our efforts. We've texted 41,873 voters, sent 250 letters, knocked on 47 doors, registered 11 voters, and engaged with 300 voters at events. How many of you participated in those efforts? Thank you. I imagine that participating in that allowed you to feel a sense of joy. So please join us for the Social Justice Fair after the service, where you can find ways to participate and find joy in so many different ways that this congregation tries to serve the world. I felt this profoundly myself when I accompanied Jacques Angelino on his rounds to deliver food and books to needy families. What was so wonderful about how he goes about this work is the relationships that he builds with people in which he honors what they bring to the relationship, not seeing himself as a savior, but a participant in their lives. Whenever we pulled up before a house that had children, they would come running out with their arms outspread, shouting, "Angelita, Angelita," little grandfather. The joy was not just about receiving much needed food, it was about celebrating the connection that they had developed together. Whenever I find myself feeling frustrated and hopeless, I remember those moments of magic, and joy bubbles up within me. Thank you again, Jacques, for the incredible work that you do. Again, from the poet Amanda Gorman. Even now, conviction works strange magic on our tongues. We're built up again by what we build, find, see, say, remember, do. What we carry means we survive. It is what survives us. Where once we were alone, now we are beside ourselves. Where once we were barbed and brutal as blades, now we can only imagine. So let us find the space to imagine together, to encourage one another to show up as our true selves, to become aware of the beauty that continuously surrounds us. And there we will find peace and joy. Amen. Let us join in hymn number 18 in your great hymnal and on the screen, What Wondrous Love.
What wondrous love is this, oh my soul, oh my soul. What wondrous love is this, oh my soul. takes away the pain of my soul, and takes away the pain of my soul. When I was sinking down, sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down, sinking down, when I was sinking down beneath my sorrow's ground, friends to me gathered round, oh my soul, friends round me gathered round, oh my soul. To love and to all friends I will sing, I will sing. To love and to all friends I will sing. To love and to all friends who pain and sorrow mend, will thanks unto the end. I will sing, I will sing. With thanks unto the end, I will sing.
There's someone close to you, or place your hand over your heart. Again, from Rosemary Watola Tromer. Over and over, we break open, we break and we break, and we open. For a while, we try to fix the vessel as if to be broken is to be bad. As if with glue and tape and a steady hand we might bring things to perfect again, as if they were ever perfect, as if to be broken is not also perfect, as if to be open is not the path toward joy. Let us join in extinguishing our chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of vision. As we go forth, let us heal and transform ourselves and our world through reason and love.